Bearcat Bounce Podcast, back at it again. It's a Monday. It is a beautiful Monday. Not really weather-wise, but beautiful because Bearcat Sports is alive and well. It's a Monday after a full week of spring practice in year one under Coach Scott Satterfield. It is also a Monday after an absolutely thrilling opening game in the AAC tournament against Temple, followed by a not so thrilling stumble against Houston in the semifinals. But last AAC tournament, last time we will say AAC, hopefully for forever. And it's also a Monday where we get to get ready for a little bit more Bearcat basketball coming to you this week. It's also a Monday where I get to bring in my guys, my pals, three guys that talk all things Bearcat sports. They know everything about it, everything they need to. That's right. Without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, how are we? Ryan.
I'm here.
Chad's here. That's a good start. Ryan, you're muted. You aren't doing well.
I'm sorry about that. I'm good, man. You know, I love my Mondays. Had a nice weekend. Just excited to talk some Bearcats. Get into some spring ball action now.
Here we go. Aaron, how are we?
Doing all right.
Doing all right.
All right.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of short fuses, short, all right, okay, I'm good. Well, if you need to fix those things and they happen to your car, whether it be like a what happens? A short oil change or a short, I don't know anything about cars, short, calibrators or something.
Let it go, Brent. Just let it go.
Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Hit up our boys over there at Danco Transmission and Auto Care. It's Danco Joe. Go visit them, get an oil change, get a car fixing. Mention BBP, Bearcat Journal, and get yourself a nice little cut down on the price there. Just talk to Danco Joe; he'll hook you up. But guys, it is the NIT is next for the Bearcats. NIT, you can take it one way, the other way, any way you want to. That's why there's this Chris Arvin gentleman to my left or right on the screen. I don't know exactly what you're looking at, but Chris Arvin, member of the producer, the content writer of the basketball side of VT Scoop, the 24/7 website for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Chris, how are we?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris, we have to mention it. NIT. What for the just broad landscape right off the bat, what does NIT mean for Virginia Tech fans and Virginia Tech basketball team, everything of that sort? Is this a continuous springboard into hopefully a good start to the next season? Is this a disappointment? What's the overall pulse of the Virginia Tech side of things heading into the game?
Yeah, I think there's mixed feelings. Virginia Tech definitely had aspirations to go into the NCAA tournament. Started really strong. Hunter Couture is one of the key players on the team. He got injured. Things seemed to fall apart after that. And really Virginia Tech has dealt with injuries all year. And so that kind of put a hamper onto things. The roster is uncertain going into the next couple of years with a lot of seniors who might come back for their COVID year, might not. So I think not being in the NCAA tournament has been disappointing, but being in the NIT with so many young freshmen who showed promising signs, fans are starting to get behind.
So it was back-to-back trips to the NCAA tournament in 21 and 22. Obviously, last season, you guys had the magical run in the ACC tournament, winning that one, and then falling to Texas in the first round. This year, though, you started 11-1. You were 10-1 non-conference. You beat North Carolina at home back in early December. It was a hot start. Only loss was to College of Charleston, who is a tournament team as well. Was the thought of that was kind of a springboard. Everything right there was looking as if all signs are pointing to continuing what the strong season end was last year.
Yeah, absolutely. The loss at College of Charleston was really a road game. It was in the Charleston Classic that they host, and so supposed to be neutral site, but didn't work out that way. beat North Carolina. They didn't have Armando Bearcat, but still a really good win. And then Hunter Couture got injured during the Boston College game, which was just a couple days later. And wheels started to come off.
So I guess the big question from the Cincinnati standpoint in this game, 2-9 on the road this year for Virginia Tech. This game will be at Cincinnati. So is that what do you think went into them struggling as much as they did on the road? Was it just the youth? Was it a multitude of things?
Yeah, it seems like across the board, road games in basketball this year were harder than in other years, but youth was definitely part of it. And the only 2 wins came at the end of the year. I think the last 2 road games of the year with Notre Dame and Louisville, who arguably, along with North Carolina, round out the 4 teams that really were the most upset with their production this season. So those wins aren't that much to take home about. Virginia Tech kept a lot of games close this year, but yeah, closing out games, the Hokies really don't get to the line that much, and when you're playing on the road, that's pretty tough.
Now you mentioned the injury to Hunter Couture, the 7-game losing streak. Is that kind of the exact reason why that losing streak happened? I see when he came back for the final 2 games, but those are both road games at Virginia and Clemson. Was he kind of the main reason you would point to for that kind of a really, really rough stretch to the beginning of ACC play?
Yeah, definitely. He was a huge part of that. And Hunter Couture only averages, I think, like 11 points a game, somewhere around there. But his biggest asset isn't really in playmaking for the team, but he's a phenomenal 3-point shooter. I think he's hitting 43% on the year. So even when he's not scoring, he's pulling the defense away, and he's making big plays because of that. And so just having him on the floor really opened things up for Virginia Tech.
Let's go ahead and break down the roster. You've mentioned Couture already. A few other obviously high point per game players. Who currently would you point to as the star players, if you will, heading into the game on Wednesday night?
Yeah, there's really a big 4. Hunter Couture is obviously one of them. The next one is going to be Grant Basile. Wright State transfer came in this year. Really good year. The honorable mention for the ACC. A big man that can stretch it out. Virginia Tech really likes to play inside and then work their way outside, even though they're a high 3-point shooting team. And Virginia Tech's turnaround really happened when Basile started to step up. A lot of more action went through him, and he had back-to-back nights of 33 points at one point. Just a really good score. The pick and pop with him, if your center is slow, is absolutely lethal. Justin Mutz is the power forward, but the highest assist person on Virginia Tech. Like I said, they love to play through the posts. So the ball is going to go to him in the high post. He can dump it down to Basile. He's so athletic. He can drive. He's very similar to Landers Nolley, except probably has a little bit more burst on him. Not as much of an outside shooter, but just athleticism wise. And so I think that's going to be a really good matchup. And like I said, plays go through him. And the last one is Sean Padula, who's a point guard, but Virginia Tech doesn't really play through a point guard. Anybody can bring it up and kind of start the motion. But he shot over 50% last year, shooting 34%, I think, this year. Really good 3-point shooter. Kind of fell off in the middle there when Couture was out, lost his legs a little bit, but started getting his shooting back, and he will light you up if you're not on him. So those are really the 4 to watch for the Hokies.
Now you mentioned Landers Nolley. We obviously have to dive into him. Spent 2 seasons in Blacksburg. Kind of what was the overall Landers Nolley experience, and what does it mean to Virginia Tech overall playing against Landers? Again, are there any players that still have a connection to Landers that were on the team when he was there? Or is there any sort of okay, we know about Landers, got to do this or that against him on Wednesday? Or what are the emotions heading into the game on the Virginia Tech side for him?
Yeah, Hunter Couture was there, and I think he really might have been the only player other than Mike Young. He played for Mike Young for 1 season. So committed to Buzz Williams, had to redshirt that first year because of ACT scores, and then played 1 year for Mike Young, decided to stay. Was Virginia Tech's leading scorer. I don't know how much his game is developed, but he was a guy that just put up shots because Virginia Tech did not have that much talent around him, and he may have averaged like 18 shots a game. Like it was wild. He was just launching it up. But obviously a great guy who can stretch the court. I'm sure Hunter Couture will talk to him. Mike Young will be glad to see him. But went on to Memphis and then obviously ended up at you guys. So I think he's a great player. Just didn't quite work out in Blacksburg.
Now, other connections, obviously, with Babcock, your guys' current AD, former AD at UC. You have numerous other connections. Obviously, Wes Miller. I don't know if you were back there 10 years ago, but went to Blacksburg, beat the Hokies when he was the head coach of UNCG. You've got two other players that have ACC ties. Odio Guama at Wake Forest playing against you guys, and John Newman, the third who won't be playing, but will he also played against you guys at Clemson. Any sort of connections that you feel that Virginia Tech has with Cincy, or anything interesting that you had just in the early dive in that you've had with the Bearcats?
I'm sure Mike Young will want to help out Brent Pry after you guys stole Coach Glenn away a couple weeks ago, but outside of that, I don't think there's anything bigger than the Landers Nolley connection.
Okay. What got you into Virginia Tech? You long time Hokie fan, big time. What was your connection that you brought you to the Hokies?
Yeah, I was a basketball referee for a really long time. Both my parents went to Virginia Tech. I got injured and had to have knee surgery and missed a season. I told them I would fill in while I was healing and cover the team because they didn't have anybody. Health issues made me retire from officiating and stayed on. So been at VT Scoop for probably 11 years now.
Kind of a crazy thing that I saw. Do you know the last time that these two teams played?
I don't.
Wow. Back in 1991, Metro Conference quarterfinals, Bob Huggins' second year at Cincinnati. You guys did beat Cincinnati in that one, but that's the last time the two teams have played. The Hokies hold the overall record, but it's the first time that they played in quite a while.
Yeah, and I just pulled it up. Like I said, I haven't done too much research.
They played a lot.
But I
saw that they played
30 games total, yeah.
Bearcats are 6-point favorites. So, yeah, I think it should be a good game. Like I said, Virginia Tech hasn't done that great on the road. Their 2 wins aren't that impressive. I do think that they finally got healthy. Rodney Rice would be a fifth name that I would mention. He was a top 100 player who was injured the entire year, had an ankle injury, had surgery, came back for one game, broke his hand in practice, and then has played like the last 5 games. But really good playmaker, really good shooter, had 18 points in the blowout loss to NC State. But getting him back is good. So, I think Tech fans are just excited to see some of these young guys.
What do you have a feel for the energy level for this team making the NIT? I mean, you wonder, like, a team like Rutgers that thought they were getting into the tournament and then has to play in the NIT. You worry about like their mental state, but Virginia Tech was like Cincinnati. They knew they weren't going into the big dance. Do you have a read on how the guys are taking it and attacking the ability to have another game?
Yeah, they seem pretty excited. Right after they lost to NC State, they all talked about how they really wanted to play in the NIT and how they hoped they could host a game, but that no matter what, they were going to accept if they could get a bid. So I think they're pretty excited. Justin Mutz, this is going to be his last couple games, however long Virginia Tech goes. Hunter Couture might transfer at the end of the year, might go pro. Same for Grant Basile. Kind of talking about going pro. So, like I said, the roster is really in flux. I think these guys want to go out as strong as they can.
And then, obviously, so the game we've already mentioned the road struggles, but was there any feeling of we are, like you said, we're going to take the NIT invitation, but was there any feeling that the game was going to be in Blacksburg, or were you kind of knowing that it was going to potentially be on the road based on seed line?
I think the road was more likely, but Virginia Tech did start preparations just in case they were going to host, because you never really knew how many teams were going to back out. I think it ended up being 3 or 4, but yeah, they were preparing just in case.
Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say, were you surprised it was Cincinnati? I mean, I know here, because of they're supposed to cater to regional matchups. People were looking at Youngstown State and looking at Toledo and possibly Dayton before they backed out. Were you as surprised as I was to see Cincinnati, Virginia Tech? Because that one kind of caught me off guard, I guess.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a natural fit. And I think there might be some other matchups that would have made more sense. But I think that's where, at least in my opinion, it seemed like the committee kind of went away, because a Rutgers Virginia Tech matchup probably makes more sense in that standpoint. Maybe even Clemson again, but I don't think they want to have kind of those matchups first round. So yeah, Cincinnati was definitely a surprise.
Obviously, so you mentioned all the players, all the matchups and whatnot. Any questions that you have for the Cincinnati side of things? Because I know you said you haven't really dove in too deep yet, but game on Wednesday. There's no better experts than Ryan Royer and Chad Brendel and Aaron Smith. They'll give you all the answers you need.
Yeah, what style of play do you really think suits this team the best? They're a 3-point shooting team. They like to play through the post. Where do you think the strength is, and does the coaching staff play to that all the time?
Definitely more of a primarily jump shooting team. You have Dave DeJulius and Landers Nolly that shot it really well all year. Mike Adams Woods that can also get hot. Jeremiah Davenport is the ultimate. When he's hot, he could hit 6 on you, or he could go 1 for 8. They don't have a lot of dribble penetration. They don't have a lot of the athleticism necessary to play downhill. But they can. I mean, they do a lot in pick and roll. David DeJulius was one of the, especially through the second half of the season, before he had his record snapped in the first game of the conference tournament. I think he had, was it 17, Brent? 16 or 17 straight games with at least 5 assists.
Yeah, 16, unless did he do it against Temple?
No, he didn't against. He had
right.
4 against Temple, and then he had 5
16.
against. Yeah, he had 5 against Houston. So, 17 of his last 18 games with 5 assists. A lot of that is pick and roll action. The bigs are very active downhill on that pick and roll. So Victor Locken, Odi Oguama, Kalua Zekpe, they do like to roll and stay engaged and get the ball at the rim for easy buckets. Defensively, pretty much a man-to-man. It doesn't, I mean, they've had problems with dribble penetration. It doesn't look like that is offensively a strength of Virginia Tech. I haven't watched a ton, but from looking at the numbers, it looks like they're more of a pass team, like, a more of a precision passing team than they are have a guard get to the paint, collapse the defense, style like that. So I think that kind of plays into Cincinnati's strengths. I mean, if I look at the one thing that stands out, it's that Virginia Tech's defense isn't always great, I guess is a good way to put it. And the Cincinnati offense can put some points on the board if you're not able to disrupt what they're trying to do in terms of their offensive flow.
Yeah, that sounds really similar to Virginia Tech in a lot of ways. Not a lot of slashers, really good shooters. Virginia Tech is top 35 in assists per game, top 15 in fewest turnovers per game. So pretty good passing team. But yeah, like you said, slashers can be hard to come by, especially for Virginia Tech as well. And defense has been a struggle this year. Rebounding has been really bad.
See, and that's kind of, if you're a Cincinnati fan, that makes you feel good, because when Cincinnati's won the rebounding battle, they're almost unbeatable. I mean, they have been exceptionally well when they've been able to control the glass. It's the teams, Temple, the first time they lost to Temple just crushed them. on the glass. And that's been an issue when teams have been able to get after it and, control the glass. When Cincinnati's been able to control the glass, they've been really good.
So as far as it goes with obviously a bunch of shooters on the outside, is there any player in particular that you're hoping can somewhat go off, whether it be, in a close loss in his last game as a Hokie? Is there kind of a fan favorite out there that everyone would like to see have one last hurrah, whether it be on Wednesday or whether it be later in the tournament?
I think Justin Mutz is the player that most everyone would say, just wanting to go out well. He was really special in Virginia Tech's run. Same could be said for Hunter Couture, but he's been a little turnover prone. So some are going to be happy to see him go, but I think for the most part, it would be him. If you want a younger guy, it's definitely going to be Rodney Rice. Just brought the spark. Fan base is already behind him. Scored 18, like I said, against NC State. Just seems to have a lot of potential. So one young player, Rodney Rice.
What time you headed up to Cincinnati for the game?
Can't make it. Yeah, I can't make it.
Not exactly a regional trip.
Yeah,
not exactly a hop in the car. And are you in Blacksburg or?
I'm not. I'm in Richmond. This is
Okay.
a side job for me. I work at a church, and so hard to travel sometimes. But I'll be watching.
9 o'clock on a Wednesday. Oh,
Yeah,
love that.
So what do you think Mike Young's approach will be in the game? Will it be getting the younger players more time, or are they going to go out and do all they can to win? I mean, obviously, there's different approaches to the NIT and postseason overall, I guess, when you're not in the big tournament.
Yeah, I think they're going to do all they can to win. Like I said, with so many guys who could come back and play a massive part next year, but kind of leaving it open, I think Mike Young wants to prove they can make a run against really good teams and talk about what next year could be if they come back. So I'm expecting them to go all out.
Real quick, I guess one last question. The ACC got a little bit of, I don't know if it's lack of love or whether, somewhat of a down year for the ACC overall. What's your outlook in the NCAA tournament for the ACC in general? Are you thinking Duke continues to ride this high that they're on? I mean, you guys took down the Blue Devils earlier this season. Is Miami going to put it together? Just kind of your general overall ACC look. Give me some good bets that you feel great about possibly. And I don't know. Let's roll with it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think last year the ACC proved that they're a little bit better than they get credit for, but yeah, it was another rough year. 5 teams in last year, but what, 3 of them made the Elite 8 last year. We'll see if they do the same thing. Miami is built on guards and has just everybody on that floor can run. They may not be the most athletic, but they can all move. So they seem like a team that's built for the tournament. I haven't looked at their second round matchup quite enough yet, but I feel pretty good about them. UVA lost their starting big man and then got better. So they just each year it seems like Tony Bennett does something crazy. And yeah, I think Duke's going to ride pretty high. NC State's way too up and down. Those guys could carry them to the Final Four. They could get bounced by 20 in the first round.
Weird stat the other day that in the past, 20 years, there's only been 2 teams that were undefeated and going into the tournament in March that won the championship. So it's cross off Duke, cross off Marquette, cross off Purdue, I think hasn't lost in March. All the teams that have gone, essentially won their last 3 regular season conference games and then won their conference tournament have failed to win the championship. That one took me by surprise.
That's an interesting stat. I've not heard that.
That's very interesting. Tell me about that NC State game real fast, because I watched it and it was like NBA Jam out there. Just all of them were on fire the entire game. The Wolfpack, that is. You guys a little bit too. You made a little mini run, but what was it like? Just kind of, obviously it was probably hard for you to take in, but man, it's wild seeing a team light it up like the Wolfpack did in that one.
Yeah, some of that was pretty bad defense. Some of that, they were pulling up from 32 feet. They had no business shooting from where they were shooting, and they were just absolutely lacing it. So It's just hard to compete when teams are doing that. If you go all the way out there, their big men are a little bit too mobile for Virginia Tech when they have to step up. Yeah, it was tough. But like you said, second half they made a comeback, and that was with the three like stars, we'll call them, of Justin Mutz, Grant Basili, and Hunter Couture all on the bench for the last 10 minutes of the game, and Virginia Tech made a run. So we'll see.
So a mix of bad defense and pulling it from deep. So we just have to hit 10, 32 footers and we'll win by 20, you think?
Easy.
Okay. All right. Pretty simple there.
Tech's coach that game plan.
Yeah. Well, Chad's on it. I think that's what he went off to do real quick.
Look, if you tell Jeremiah Davenport the key to the game is shooting 32 footers, he's going to be very excited about this game. Very excited about this game. Quick trigger, to say the least.
Sean Padula is in a similar boat. Doesn't quite pull up as from deep, but I mean, he doesn't need much space, arguably any space, and he just launches it up. So,
yeah, we got one of those for sure. All right, man. Well, we appreciate you hopping on. Don't want to keep you too long, but appreciate the insight on Virginia Tech from somebody that's kind of boots on the ground and has been able to watch this team all year. I know it was just kind of that just wasn't a team that really was on Cincinnati's, anybody in Cincinnati's radar. So when the name popped up, it was like, all right, better get to work.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me. Thanks for sharing about the Bearcats, and hopefully we have a good game Wednesday night.
Let us know how.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let us know how we can reach out. We can get a hold of you, all the fans.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Yeah.
What are all your socials?
24/7.
Okay. What was that again? Sorry, I was talking.
Chris Arvin _247 on Twitter, or just pop on over to the 24/7. But you guys are 24/7, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So pop on over through the multi-board if you got that VIP access. Send us a message.
All right. Appreciate you, Chris. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, you guys have a good one.
Thanks.
There you go, Chris Arvin. All you need to know about Virginia Tech. I feel better about things after. Just in terms of stylistically, it doesn't sound like Virginia Tech is a team that does a lot of the things that give Cincinnati significant trouble.
Right. Well, I mean, if you go over on their board, the threat about the game is doesn't really sing too much confidence heading in for the Hokies. But yeah, I mean, they're a team that shoots a lot of threes, rely a lot on their offense, and I mean they have a handful of guys that can knock it down. So you've got to get out.
Cincinnati's been a good team at running opponents off the line.
Oh yeah. Especially because their main shooters are 6'1", 6'3". That's Shabadula and Darius Maddox. So Hunter Couture. So just making sure that life's a little uncomfortable for them, but mainly that Grant Basili is the player that kind of has really taken a big step for them, transferred in from Wright State, Aaron's alma mater. I think you still have your Basili jersey, don't you, Aaron, from his Wright State days?
No, Deshaun Wood was the big player when I was there. Everybody held up the "We Got Wood" signs.
Oh, okay, there you go. But yeah, I mean it'll be one of those games where kind of you look at Virginia Tech and obviously you see ACC next to their name, but right now you look at Cincinnati and you see Big 12 next to their name. I mean I know it's still AAC for the time being, but I mean it's definitely a winnable game. I think what Chris was saying is they had higher hopes heading into the year, but I mean they lost 7 in a row. Really, struggled during a handful of those games. Some were really close, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, especially because it'll be a home game, familiar for everyone. I think Landers will come in with a little added chip as well, and let it fly and see what happens.
He hasn't been great in those 2 Memphis games with the added chip.
Right.
Yeah,
he started well in that first one and then picked up 2 quick fouls. It was not good to see. Not good to see. But
Hopefully he bounces back.
yeah, let's hope so. Let's talk about what got the Bearcats to the NIT. It was a thrilling game against Temple on Friday. I tell you what, obviously it didn't start that way, and it was all doom and gloom in the first 8 minutes, and then Cincinnati went on to outscore Temple by 30 points the rest of the way. Obviously, it's been some time removed, but a quick gloss over back on the Temple game, if you will. Ryan, did you take in the Temple game? Were you in the office? What was your MO during that Friday afternoon matinee?
Yeah, I was in the office, so I wasn't able to catch it. I didn't want to push my limits there, but I just I saw the score after. I was like, "Damn, you must have played good." So I was pleased that they kind of like put that stamp on Temple a little bit. So I thought it was going to trend very well over into the Houston game, but not necessarily. So I was a little heartbroken there.
Chad and Aaron, do you think that I didn't get to catch the nightcap after the Temple game? Did you feel like that was possibly the best game the team had all season? Yeah,
It was right up there. If it wasn't the best, it was top 3 for sure.
Right. Just seemed like
the key being, they got it up to 18. Temple cut it down to 12, and you kind of wondered, like, are they going to let Temple get back in it? If Temple gets 2 more stops, make 2 more shots, that game's under 10, and all of a sudden the pressure was on, and instead they hit 4 threes in like 90 seconds, and it was 24. Like, that was the key for me.
I talked myself into this game being a catalyst for them and what they could potentially do against Houston. It was certainly not that.
Something about that second game in a row, man. They were awful against Ohio State and Maui, and then they just could not get it going at all against Houston. 6 baskets in the first half, essentially. Call it what it is. 6 baskets in the second. The 7th was the layup from CJ Anthony under a minute. But if you can't make more than 6 buckets and a half against the number 1 team in the country, you in trouble, son. And they were in trouble. Look, you needed Dave DeJulius and Lander Snolly to play well, and they didn't.
Right.
Dave didn't play well against Temple.
No, he didn't. I mean, I want to do one last thing on Temple because they won by 30, so they outscored them by 41 or 40 in the final. What? Quick math here, Aaron. You're the math major. 32 minutes.
32 minutes. Yeah, 32 minutes or so.
So, but before we gloss past this one, I gotta bring up Dan Skillings Jr. 20 points in 22 minutes. It seems just like Temple, does something to light a fuse under him. 6 rebounds as well. Extremely active, knocking down, numerous shots and being extremely active. What is this kind of the springboard for Dan to have a good NIT as well, and then really mold that into a very, very strong offseason?
I think Dan just needs to keep playing Temple, and he would be an All-American.
He would. Well, take out the first Temple game, but that didn't even exist. Yeah. That was back on January 1st.
That was him getting his legs under him. It's fine.
Right. But second 2 Temple games, unbelievable. Chad, do you feel like this is kind of what the staff was envisioning out of Dan at this point of the season?
Yeah, it's what you hope. Like, you hope that he continues to progress and get better, and that's what we saw. He played comfortable. He really, this is how you get yourself going. Coaches talk about it all the time. What happened at the beginning of that game? They got down 16-6, and everything looked like the world was collapsing. Dan gets 2 offensive rebounds, puts them both back in, gets fouled on a 3, makes all 3 free throws, and all of a sudden in a 4-minute stretch, he's got 7 points, and the game is close. And now your team has got some confidence and is rolling a little bit, and they turned that rolling a little bit into an absolute avalanche.
Oh yeah.
And once that happens, man, it's tough to slow it down. And you have to give Dan credit for that. Dan was the spark. Dan was the guy that said, look, let's go. Like, we got to get this thing on track. We're not going to play like this today. And he really was the spark that they needed when they were playing like crap. And it went from 16-6 to what, 16-13, as he scored 7 straight. And from there, it was all Bearcats. So, yeah, that's the talent is undeniable. It's just the experience. It's the consistent confidence that is growing with him. He's a matchup nightmare as a 2, as a 3. He's long. He's athletic. He's people might disagree with me on this, and people have been disagreeing with me all week, whatever. He's the best rebounder on the team.
Yeah.
I don't think that's up for debate. Like, I think he is legitimately the most naturally gifted rebounder on the team. Offense, defense, whatever it is. If he's in the area, he's going to go get the ball.
I think he might be a better offensive rebounder than a defensive rebounder.
He is. He's definitely a better offensive rebounder. He's got such a great feel for reading the shot coming out of somebody's hands and beating the box out because he's so wiry and long. Like, I don't know. I can't count how many times this year, and it's it's a limited amount of time because he hasn't played a ton, where his hand is just up over everybody else.
Right.
And you know what you never really see from him? He never gets it poked away. He never has his hand on the ball and then somebody else has the rebound. It's very rare.
Yeah, he's the best see ball, get ball player.
Yeah,
on the team,
in area, out of area. Like, he's just really fun, and you saw that in AAU, which, I mean, coaches talk about this all the time. Scouts talk about this all the time. Mm-hmm. Rebounding is maybe the most translatable skill in basketball,
right?
That transcends levels. If you can rebound at like the EYBL, if you're a really good rebounder at the high AAU level, you're going to go in college and be able to rebound. You're going to be able to, if you're lucky enough to go into the NBA and be able to rebound. I mean, it just translates because it doesn't have to do with putting that little orange thing in the hole. It's just about understanding angles and positioning and effort and that ability to kind of work your body into position when the ball comes off the rim. Dan is great at it. Like, he's a guard that can average 7 rebounds a game.
Oh, absolutely. And I like how he parlayed, not only his really active game he parlayed it by being aggressive as well. I mean, his most shot attempts on the year. And he constantly was going for it. And
imagine if he had his 3-ball going. That could have been a 30 spot for Dan.
Yeah, only 1 to 5. Yeah. I mean, the saddest thing for me is that what happened on Saturday is now going to overshadow the too small that Dan kept doing after every made bucket that he had.
Well, the one was, I mean, the dude, he did too small on a guy that was 6'9", 260 pounds.
And by the way, how about Jamil Reynolds? That guy, like, he seems unstoppable. It's just, I don't like facing Jamil Reynolds. I don't know what it is about him. It just seems like a wide mass dude. The Bearcats drew 1 charge on him. I feel like you can get a charge out of him every time he backs you down. He's just
one charge was crazy.
Yeah,
he ducks his shoulder and tries to go through your chest every time.
Every time. I mean, that's nuts. But yeah, the too small that Dan did on him, and then Dan's lone 3 that he hit. No one was guarding him, and he still did the too small. And so I was like, all right. Cool,
yeah,
Dan.
I mean, Dan is a funny dude like that. Like, he just likes, he enjoys having fun with it. He doesn't take it too seriously, like some people do Twitter. And he'll put the, you're too small on a ghost because he thinks it's hilarious, and everybody else gets a kick out of it because it's genuinely funny. It's like raising the roof when you beat up Landon Fickle.
Even Ryan
the goated celebration.
Gosh, man!
But the too smalls kind of took it on pretty quick, man.
The too small might be passing the pump it up.
I like the too small.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking to see what trends with that in football, if that can pick on really. I feel like that could latch on pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no doubt. But yeah, I mean, it was even Micah was hitting threes. The defense of in the front court was great. Victor Locken was blocking a bunch of shots again. It just seemed like, like you said, Aaron, it was, wow, this is a good feeling. This is all signs are pointing towards facing a Houston team who, let's be honest, they hadn't been like world beaters over the past month
Nope.
in conference play. And I don't know if some of that has to do with maybe they get bored with certain teams that they face. Maybe it's just if we roll out and just go out there, we're going to beat this team no matter what type of a mentality. But whatever it was, they came off a very bad performance against ECU, and then
they've bounced back pretty well.
They were unstoppable against Cincinnati, and then they went back to looking bad against Memphis in the championship. But let's go ahead and touch on that Saturday game. Yet another one where it felt like in the beginning, just Houston was the ultimate aggressor, kind of that feeling of I feel like this Cincinnati team, if they knock down their first few shots, that's when the momentum, that's when the confidence raises, that's when the defense steps up, and that's when everything leads to being in the game, especially against a tough opponent like Houston. That didn't quite happen in the beginning, and you got in a hole against Temple, but Houston's a completely different animal when you get in a hole against them. Ryan, go ahead, Chad.
I'll just say this: when Houston played like shit against ECU, it was over. It was over because they weren't going to play like that 2 games in a row. Like they just weren't. Cincinnati tested them more than anybody, just about anybody this season in the game at Houston. So they were more than aware of Cincinnati's ability to play well and beat them. And as soon as they smelled blood in the water that Cincinnati's offense couldn't get on track, it was just sharks everywhere.
Feeding frenzy.
It was rough. Ryan, did you take in the game on Saturday?
So I missed the first half of it, and I noticed they were down 15. I was like, I don't even know if I want to turn this on. I kind of just forgot about it and didn't even catch the second half. I was being a bad fan.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I didn't miss much. I was like, I was kind of waiting around to see if I kept checking it to see if they'd get it to 10 or under. And then I checked back again. It was at 18. I was like, yeah, it's not gonna.
Yeah, they made that one push in the first segment to start the second half, and I think that's the only segment they won. Segment meaning time in between media timeouts. I believe that's the only segment they won, unless they won the last one. I believe that's the only segment they won the entire day.
Yeah.
Ouch. Woof.
So the main thing for me and Chad, you kind of also voiced the sentiment is the fact that, not only did Marcus Sasser go down with an injury that held him out of the rest of the game. It was around the 7-minute mark when he went down with it.
That was an 8-point game.
Yeah, 8-point game. And then you have, Roberts getting foul trouble. You have Mark getting foul trouble. Sharp, Reggie Chaney. I mean, just every single thing that you would want if you're Cincinnati happens, and you still can't take advantage and get over the hump. I mean, you should have gone on a run and had it within.
I thought the color guy made a really interesting point that while the fouls in one way benefited Cincinnati, it also junked up the flow of the game so much that it could very also well likely have prevented them from finding that rhythm that we talked about. Like they just couldn't ever locate any pace, any flow. And a good deal of it was because the whistle, it felt like blew in that middle portion, like every trip there was a foul. And then, of course, Cincinnati screwed themselves by going to the free throw line and missing over and over and over, because those free throws also could have started to build some momentum. If you go, 13 of 15 from the line in that first half, instead of a 15-point game, it's a 7 or 8-point game. And you go into the locker room thinking, look, we haven't played well. We only made 6 baskets, but Sasser is out and we're in striking distance. And then, you make that little run to start the second half. And next thing you know, that 8 or 9-point game is down to 4 or 5. And now you've got some game momentum. But they had, like I said, they had that one stretch where it felt like they had legitimate game momentum to start the second half. And then they come out in the second segment, and I think it was back to 16 or 17 before the under 12. And it was just, it was.
Yeah. I mean, the craziest thing was that Cincinnati rose all the way up to 52nd in Ken Palm after the Temple win.
How far did they fall after Houston? 60?
Not far. Only 2 slots. They're 54.
Oh,
right
wow.
now. Yeah. So the craziest part is you beat Houston in that game somehow, some way, and you give Memphis a good shot. You're mid 40s in the Ken Palm with a couple of good wins. I'm not saying that they would have made it as an at-large. They probably would have entered the bubble combo. And you're seeing that Cincinnati being ranked in the NIT is that they were some of the teams seeded that the tournament was looking at. So, I mean, it's just all things were stacked up. And, you go back to what Wes said after the game is that, we arguably had our best game in this one. Let's hope that we have another best game tomorrow in us. And I mean, they simply didn't. Matt Lanham brings up free throws. That was another thing, man. They couldn't get anything going. It was one of those games. The first half at the free throw line, they missed 8. 7 of 15. You make half of those, you're within 10 points at half. It's just seems as if everything was.
I just
really
said
good.
all that.
Sorry, I was looking at the Matt Lanham thing, but yeah, I don't know. It was tough because you really raise up your excitement level and your positivity, and you are heading in there feeling good, especially because of what Cincinnati did at Houston as well. And then this happens, and now you look back and you say, "Wow, 22-point loss against Houston in this game." You look back at the 21-point loss. Sorry, you look back at last year. You had another 20+ loss to Houston, and then 2 13-point losses. So you're thinking, are we making the progress? I think the answer is yes, and they just had arguably one of their worst games that they've had on the season. But it's tough to draw many positive conclusions after that game, other than let's hope that it was just a really bad performance.
They just played poorly. There's nothing you can do when, it's like third down, right, Royer? Like third down, if you're consistently in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 4, 5, 6, you feel pretty good about yourself. But there are certainly going to be games where you go 2 for 13 and you had 2 drops and, a running back missed a cutback lane that was wide open. Like self-inflicted stuff that if Dave makes a couple shots, if Landers hits a 3 or one of those little pull-up, 10-footers that he's really good at, and you hit a couple of those back-to-back, and now all of a sudden you go on a 6-7-point run, or in a football game, you go 3 for 3 on third down on a 85-yard drive. And now the offense goes back to the sidelines all right, we got them where we want them. It never happened. The ball stayed at the top of the hill. There were 13 guys pushing the ball. And it would move 6 inches, but it never went down the hill. And that's sports sometimes. It sucks. You give credit to Houston for playing a good game, playing good defense, but Cincinnati just never created their own energy, and you have to do that. Ryan knows that. He's the energy guy. You have to create your own energy The Cincinnati defense did it for 5 years under Luke Fickell. Things aren't going our way. Offense just turned it over. Our back's against the wall. We got to get 8 stops at the goal line to win this championship. Come on, let's go. You have to create that yourself.
Tulsa.
Yep.
Yeah, especially when you're playing a team like Houston, you need every bounce to go your way, and you got to make some bounces go your way too. And you didn't really see that.
Cotton Bowl. Alec Pierce. Nothing. And we got to talk about the Pierce family a little bit later.
Yeah.
But Alec Pierce makes that catch in the end zone, and it's 7-7. There's no telling what changes in that Bama game.
There's
no
big
telling.
fucker up there just knocking down every pass.
Yeah.
Making me feel like a middle schooler.
But it didn't happen. So you tip your cap to the other team. You look inward and say, we got to be better than we were today. And you go from there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing you can do, which is, I mean, it's just tough because, Houston is the cream of the crop, but the opportunity was there to take advantage of not the same Houston team that was the number 1 Houston team in the country, So we'll see, because obviously they've really struggled against Memphis in the championship without Sasser and facing, a Tigers team that seems to be on fire right now. So it was a tough close to what seemed to be a very positive momentum build towards the postseason. But NIT is next. And the craziest thing that I saw was the previous winners of the past NIT tournaments. And you can kind of see it's a direct correlation to teams that are currently in the tournament, teams that seem to really have a springboard type jump towards what could be a great next year. Is that kind of something that you guys think this team is really trying to hone in on, is just build momentum towards the postseason? Or is this kind of a, let's try and go out and win it for Dave one last time? Because obviously it seems like it's going to be a chance to really kind of close out the year on a high note. But you look back, Landers Nolly won the MVP 2 years ago at the NIT for Memphis. So kind of what would be your guys' goal for the NIT and for the close to this year?
Swing games. Get as many dubs as you can. We know this isn't a great road team. No matter what happens because of construction happening on campus, like this is going to be the only home game for Cincinnati. So do I think they're going to make some magical run? You got to win 5 games to win this tournament. 4 of them would be away from home. It hasn't been, let's just say it hasn't been a big winning streak team to date.
Yeah.
So win a game, see if you can win 2. I do, like I said with Chris, I question Rutgers. Like sometimes it takes a game or 2 to shake that funk of like, we should be playing in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. But we've seen teams get snubbed and then win the NIT. One of them not being Xavier last year because they weren't close. But it sets up pretty well for these first 2 games if you play well. I mean, I guess maybe win 3, make it to Vegas, and see what happens in Vegas. Try to win your bracket, the top right bracket, the prestigious, the always dubious top right bracket. Did you know that's what they named the brackets, Ryan? Top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. That's the name of the NIT brackets. Not north, south, east, west, not like legends of the game, not anything. Just literally, they announced them. Here's the top left bracket. Here's the bottom left bracket. Here's the top right bracket. Here's the bottom right bracket. And not only that, but they got half of it wrong. They announced all the 2 seeds as 3 seeds. They announced all the 3 seeds as two seeds when they announced the bracket reveal last night. So I in terms of organization and the way that this thing is ran, I can't be more excited for the Bearcats to be in the NIT. It's It's a well-run first-class event for sure. I got shade for everybody today. Come fucking get some.
What anything for Steve Wojciechowski and Tom Green?
Woj.
Yeah, those two were thrilling on the reveal show. Ryan, kind of your
Creepy Green.
If you were Coach Royer heading out there, what are you telling the boys? Let's go out on a high note.
Yeah, I want to see him. I think Chad was going too. I'd love to see him string together 3 wins. Pardon me, just to show some consistency going into next year. I feel like they kept teasing us the whole back half of the year, kind of with potential and everything they could do with certain guys stepping up. And I kind of want to see Dave just kind of put a stamp on everything he's done for this university. So I just want some consistency, defense, rebounding. Let's get some better jump shooting. I mean, hate seeing them lose to Houston shooting 22. What was it, 20% from the field?
It wasn't jump shooting that was bad. It was shooting that was bad. Vic missed a layup from 1 inch. 1 inch, he missed a layup.
Man,
just
put the damn ball in the basket efficiently. I'd like to see.
That's what the funny thing is. That's what Vic tried to do, and he still missed. He didn't dunk it. He literally tried to just put it above the top of the rim and drop it down, and he missed. That was the epitome of Saturday. When that happened, I was like, "Yep."
I mean, or the 4-on-1 fast break.
4-on-1 fast break where Micah threw it to an empty gray chair.
Oh, wow.
Right after a 2-on-1 fast break where
they did nothing. Yeah, they had three something on one, larger than one fast breaks. Didn't score on any of them. They missed 7 free throws.
You can tell how the game's going when I just stop tweeting. It just I'm just sitting there I almost get to the level of tears because I just it's hard.
So right before halftime, they had a chance to cut it down, and that's when Houston got it to 15. And we're in Kelly's hospital room. It's me, my dad, my stepmom, and Kelly. And I think for the first time I let out "You got to be fucking kidding me" on something stupid that happened, blown aside. I can't remember what exactly.
Vic had it, and he didn't dish it out to a wide open Micah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And my dad was like, "You can't," gave me the calm down. And I'm like, we just made it through that half, and I only said fuck once. I should get, somebody should give me a medal, a crown. I should get $50. If you'd have bet the over-under on how many times I said it in that half, it would have been well over 1, given how things played. So I thought I did make up for it. I bet Memphis money line plus 205 on Sunday.
Nice.
There you go.
So a nice little 50 for 150.
Gosh, that Memphis team, man, they're looking dangerous.
Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams are the best. They should be in their 4th year in the NBA, guys. The duo in college basketball.
They absolutely are. But you know what the thing about Memphis is, though? They will still be in the AAC next year, and they'll have to worry about playing the Charlottes and the Texas San Antonio's.
They're going back to Conference USA. They are going to dominate that conference.
Oh, yeah.
For 10 years.
Yeah, DeAndre Williams still has a year of eligibility, right?
2 years.
No, Fake John Goble, thank you. Money for my
2 years
crown.
left. He's got a injury red shirt from 1995, and
he's actually got a red shirt year from the bubonic plague. They gave everybody a free year of eligibility from the bubonic plague, and he hasn't cashed that chip yet.
There you go.
I thought that was going to be funnier than it was, but
that wasn't bad, man. It wasn't bad, but Aaron
only laughs at my making fun of people on Twitter jokes. He doesn't laugh.
No, I laughed at them being the best combo that shouldn't be in the NBA 4 years ago.
I mean, the one thing I want to see in the
I'm
NIT.
getting myself through this show. I don't want to be here. I'm ready to.
You
take
think I want to
a
talk
couple
about the
months.
Bearcats and the damn NIT? No, I don't want to be here talking
Well,
about that.
it has
either.
nothing to do with that. I want to
I
take a
know,
couple months
I know,
off.
I know.
That's a good joke, fake John Goble.
Man. Holton Ahlers thinks that DeAndre Williams has been in college too long.
Holton Ahlers watched DeAndre Williams at Memphis when he was a kid.
Had a poster of DeAndre in his bedroom.
Like this. He had one of
Yeah.
these of DeAndre Williams in his podcast studio.
But yeah, I mean the main thing I want to see from the NIT is Dan Skilling's continuous trajectory. Just continue getting that man out there and getting him rolling. Seems like he's got all the confidence in the world right now. Even against Houston, he was making some effort plays. Wherever the effort plays are available.
Let's not get carried away, Kai.
Yeah.
Perry Ellis played college basketball for 36 years.
He was there a long time. He was there for Larry Brown and Roy Williams.
He played with Danny Manning. Perry Ellis did.
Yeah, he was a miracle, man. That was wild. But I don't know. I just want to see Skillings continue rolling.
I'm excited for I don't love the NIT whatever, but I'm excited for Wednesday. I think these guys are excited to keep playing.
Oh yeah.
It's a fun team. It's a team of good dudes.
Yep.
So as long as they're in on it, I'm in on it. I do think the more that I look at Virginia Tech, it's a decent matchup for Cincinnati as long as I think the key being don't let them surprise you early and find a rhythm.
Right.
Because how many times have we seen teams with good shooters, they get the first one or two going and then they're hot the rest of the day.
Right.
Or late night, however
which is what Virginia Tech is.
Yeah.
They're jump shooting team. I mean, you heard Chris say it sounds like the exact same team.
But what I'm saying is if you give good shooters a clean look early,
right, then
they'll make tough shots late because that confidence is pumping. The rim looks like the size of a hula hoop. So dominate those first couple segments defensively and make them know that you're going to be aggressive and running them off the line and making them work for everything.
Right.
And then I think you can control this game.
I'm going to say something just because I read it and I thought it was so interesting. Now you guys are going to be like, "Oh, Brent, shut up!" But
Brent, shut up.
Right. So I mentioned that 1991 game against Virginia Tech, the last time that they played the Hokies. They did lose, but that was Bob Huggins' second year as head coach. Was that their last year in the Metro? Or no, were they still in the Metro after that? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to quote me on
what
that.
Year was
but
it?
91. 1990-91.
I think it was either they were 91, 92. They were definitely in the Great Midwest.
Okay, so their last year in the Metro Conference, they lost to Virginia Tech in a postseason tournament, and Bob Huggins' second year as head coach. Then they went to the NIT. They lost in the second round of the, and then that next year, Bob Huggins took the Bearcats to the Final Four. So you know what? I'm sure. What I'm just saying. I'm sure back in that same time, it was fans were probably like, "Oh," and Herb Jones scored a team high 18 points. That's awesome as well. So I'm sure fans back then were like, "Okay, we like the trajectory. Wish we could have won a couple more games here or there," but and then poof, big off season, big season the following year, lead 8th year afterwards. Not saying anything, but thought it was interesting. A lot of correlations there. But and anything else on basketball? Obviously, we'll have more for following the week 1 of NIT and potential off season talk and whatnot. But this is what we have for now.
Our guy BJ Uncle Fucker says, "Yes, Brent, last Metro year."
Okay, thank you, Brian. Thank you.
You didn't know that's his alias?
I did not know.
Old South Park reference.
Okay, fair.
Remember that one, Aaron? Are you old enough to remember Shut your bleeping face, Uncle Bleeper.
Yeah.
I think I've said the bleep word too many times.
You
already
probably
in the
have.
show.
Are we
Yeah.
crossing over it?
Just being careful. Somebody sent me examples of people that blew out the cuss word restriction in the first 8 seconds of the show. It's pretty impressive. Like, was that this show or was that me and Dave?
No, I don't know. But
Anyway, I don't either. But essentially, YouTube has new like guidelines, and if there's a lot of profanity in the first 8 seconds, that's really a thing. The first 8 seconds of the show, you don't get monetized.
Oh,
So I was like, how much can you cuss in the first 8 seconds of a show?
did you test them?
People started sending me examples of shows that made me understand why YouTube built that into their
How bad was it? Just horrible?
It's bad. It's like, yeah. Like the whole
What's
8
up,
seconds.
brother?
No, like it was like it was bad. The whole first 8 seconds were it was like, okay, I get why they made that. I get why they made that rule now. It makes sense. I get it.
It was my place after the run that
Well,
Houston went on earlier in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you look at a thing of like Tide Pods, and
Yeah.
the box says "Do not eat Tide Pods," and you're like, well, somebody did that, or else there wouldn't. That wouldn't.
You eat 10 Tide Pods in 8 seconds and see what happens. You are no longer.
If nobody did it, they wouldn't have to write it on the box.
Yeah, you are no longer. Well, I see the new fad is those gallon jugs full of drink. I saw that.
Oh yeah, what's it called?
Bongo.
Yeah, bongo. Yeah, it's
Borg?
Ryan,
A
yeah,
Borg.
Ryan
A
knows.
Borg.
Yeah,
Ryan
blackout
knows
rage
Borg.
gallon. Come on, now.
Black outrage gallon.
How many
No
of you had?
Borgs.
I've never
Ryan.
done it. I've never done it. Believe it or not.
How often have you done something similar before it was called a Borg? What we need to find out is, did you invent the Borg and just somebody else
accidentally
ripped it from you? Yeah.
No, I hate to say it. I think me and my friends did actually back in
Did you really?
2008. Man, I hate to say it. The
Gallons of
bullfrog.
drink.
Did you make some bullfrogs?
I don't know what that is. We would just literally just pour anywhere from 2 to 6 shots of tequila in one glass, squirt some Mio in it, just
Oh yeah.
chug it as fast as we could. We had this thing. It was called the Super Six
So a glass, like
and
a
the
pint glass.
Nightmare 9. Yeah, but we had this other thing called the Super Six or the Nightmare 9, and you get 6 shots of tequila, and you pour 3 of them into one glass, and you take it. And then you have 15 minutes to do it again. So it's the Super Six. The Nightmare 9 is the same thing, but you have 30 minutes to do 9. And we would do that. We would do it. It was like some days we'd just go to the bar and we'd be like, all right, it's Super Six time. And then, or it's Nightmare 9 time. And we would do that. It made for some fun
How are you
nights.
alive?
Too much drinking, you get used to it. I'm like Goggins with a calloused liver, bro. Not a calloused mind. I don't do that anymore, though. I'm responsible.
No, you're a professional now.
I'm a good boy.
You're a professional now. What if they had
Yeah.
Borgs when you were in college?
They were a thing, but we just never did them. Because normally it's like Borg parties, so everyone brings their Borg, but we never got into it.
So everybody
Shit, though.
just comes to the party with their own gallon
Mm-hmm.
of fucked upery.
Yeah, we've done things like friend and a fifth, where you're like handcuffed to someone and you have a fifth of liquor, and you don't get unhandcuffed until you're
Right.
finished.
Done that too.
That's not
Done
that
that
hard.
too.
Yeah, it's not as bad. But
I mean, back in the day, a half a fifth, as long as you're with somebody that's competent, like as long as you're
Yeah.
partner, it's okay. If you got to drink the whole fifth, that's a lot. If you can,
Yeah.
if you can do half
yeah, you'll
over
be
the
fine.
course of, have you done a case race?
Yeah, we've done beer Olympics, we've done case races, we've done all the fun shit, man. Back during COVID, we couldn't do any. Like Coach Fickle didn't want us going anywhere, obviously. So we would all just come back into our house. Our house was like the frat house of the football team, And so any guy on the team would just show up and bring whatever
Okay.
or something.
Who was your house? What was your house? I
Who was
got
it?
a hypothetical. Yeah.
It was me, Alec Pierce, Will Adams, Bryce Burton, Jacob Dingle, Wyatt Fisher, Blake Basevich, and
That's a fucking apartment building.
yeah, it was like two houses connected, so there was
Okay.
9, and then it was
Who would
like
you
2 of my
consider?
buddies from engineering.
Pick your top 4. Pick your top 4
Top 4
for your house.
drinkers.
Yeah.
Me, Dingle. Definitely not Alec. Definitely not Ben. They're lightweights. Let's
So you
see.
know the greatest Bearcat house in history, right?
Yeah, it's Derek Wolf, Kelsey,
and Caleros.
yeah. Did
And
you
they
listen to Wolf on
Oh, yeah.
Rogan? Yeah,
Some of it, not all of it, but
he shouted out that house, how they were just shitheads, but were just all like very fucking good. Oh, I'm sorry, very good.
well, I mean,
Great
we're still
podcast.
okay. I think it's all right.
Did you hear him say
Wolf
he's
was nuts.
crazy,
He
bro?
microdosed mushrooms before
Yeah,
games.
microdose mushrooms, Adderall, and
Adderall.
then told quarterbacks he's going to eat their kids.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
I love him. I love that. It was probably me,
He's-
Dingle, and I'd say Bryce, and then it's probably Will. Yeah, us 4.
I can just tell you this: you would have got owned. You got
Oh
dominated.
yeah, I know. I've
by
heard the story.
greats. By great
I've heard the Jason stories of what he would do down in the Sigma house. Just
him and Barwin were legendary. Like they'd get like 4 beers because they would drink a beer in like 2.5 minutes. Like they weren't going to keep going back to the bar. So they would just go to the bar, order 4 or 5 beers for themselves, and in 20 minutes be out of beers.
yeah, it's good shit.
Barwin's another. Barwin will put you to sleep now because you don't think what he's doing in his life is conducive. But it was Jason and Connor were toe to toe back in those days.
And Travis was just getting kicked off the team, sadly.
Did you see the thing today that
then Derek
on the
Wolf
new
was
episode?
eating raw elk. No, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Travis basically was like talking about the Cowboys at the combine, his senior year, and they were like, so tell me about that year that you were suspended, and Travis is like, look, if you don't think that I've gotten over that to get to this point, like if you really think you have to ask me about that after what I've gone through and what they put me through to get here, then you should probably draft somebody else, and got up and fucking bounced.
Wow. Damn.
That's Trav.
Yeah. He's swinging with that one.
They're putting out, like right now, their off-season content that they're starting to put out. They had Daniel Jeremiah on. They had the player personnel guy from the Eagles that like drafted Jason. And was like he was the one that was kind of like, it might take 2 years, but this guy's going to be a starter for us for a long time, which is why they took it. I think he gave him like a 4th round grade, and he's like, yeah, I can't say I'm too right. I gave a first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe the greatest center in history, a 4th round grade. Like I'm not all that great, but
yeah,
they're getting into some really good off-season stuff with that, which I think is going to be like fascinating to get even more of the backstory of like how, because as they tell these stories, I think a lot of other guys are going to be more comfortable. Mahomes told the story back in the middle of the season of how he tricked the Eagles. How he was like, I think this team, like, I think they're gonna trade for me. So if you're gonna get me, you better get me before they move up. And then the Eagles or the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs took him, and he was just completely lying out his ass. Just completely made it up because he wanted to go to the Chiefs and play for Andy Reid.
Good job.
And I bet there's a million stories like that, right?
Yeah, I know. There's so much shit that flies under the radar. I mean, I just hear things not even close to that, just knowing like Alec, really. You can hear some cool stuff, cool stories, talk to some of the guys on his team, but nothing that in depth.
Have you ever heard McAfee tell the Peyton Manning casino story?
No. Is it
They went
legendary?
they went golfing, and McAfee never doesn't know how to golf at this point. He's a rookie, and Manning's like, "You coming golfing?" And McAfee goes to Vinatieri, and he's like, "I need your clubs, bro. Peyton's taking me golfing." So they go golfing. Peyton's got this like limo bus rented. They get back to the casino. I think it's French Lick. Does French Lick have a casino, Brent?
Yeah, they did.
So they get back to French Lick. Have you heard the story, Brent?
Yeah, I have.
They get back to French Lick. McAfee stumbles off the bus, walks in, and he goes to the roulette table, and he starts like putting all his chips on all this different shit. And Manning walks in and just goes 18. And McAfee takes all his bets back, puts all of his fucking chips on 18. 18.
That's good.
And Peyton just like, before the ball landed, Peyton was like 18 and just walked like away. And then it hit, and the whole place erupted. And it's like legendary true story.
Wow.
Give me more of that stuff. That's what I want from NFL content.
Yeah, because they do cool
Right.
stuff, man. They got all that money. They're cool guys, good personalities, good friendships. There's definitely crazy ass stories about growing up, college, meeting other guys. So I mean, I'm all for it.
Where were we at? What were we talking about? You want to talk about Cade real quick, Ryan? While we're lost in the woods.
Talk about what?
Cade Pierce.
Oh yes, stilts. That's what we called him back at the house.
I tried to tell mid-major coaches across the country, this dude will win you games.
Yes, 100%.
This dude is tough. He's physical. He's been beat up on his whole life by two guys that were elite athletes.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is going to win you games. I watched him on one of the best AAU teams in the country be the glue guy and guard the opposing team's best player and hit threes and like just be that dude. And nobody would listen to me. And he ended up at Princeton, and he's the Ivy League Rookie of the Year, and he's playing in the NCAA tournament. He's a dude. He's a dude.
Yes, I love Cade. He's a great kid too.
Yeah.
Just an overall utility player. He's, like you said, he wins games. He does everything, does it hard. So super happy for him. Happy for the Pierce family. That's awesome being able to go there with like an underdog team and watch something like that. I was tuning in and out of his games, talking to Alec during. So
he was great.
Yeah.
He made winning. Did you see the dunk he had down the lane?
Yeah.
Bang!
Boom. Just easy. Easy money. They get that from their mom, man. That vertical.
Yeah, it's not dad. Dad.
No.
What a washed up has-been that guy is.
No, Greg was too banged up back in the day, getting hurt too much.
Mom was an athlete.
Oh, she jumped like some crazy vertical. I forget what Alec told me. Just like insane, which makes sense because Alec
like
literally has veins running from his toes to his neck. Yeah. Oh yeah. She was the truth.
There are predominant mid-majors, guys that when you think about the top mid-majors in the country, I told them him. And what I got back is, well, we think we got this 4-star. And I'm like, you're losing your identity. You became a top mid-major because you've always got guys like him on your team.
Yeah.
You're not getting the 4-star. No. He's not going to play in the I won't out them. He's not going to play in this league. This kid will play in this league and win you games and get you in the NCAA tournament. And they didn't want to listen, Ryan.
We should scoop him up here in Bearcat land.
I don't know that Cade is a Big 12 glue guy.
Don't sleep on him, man.
No, I know. Like, I love the way he plays. I just love the intensity he plays with. I love the IQ he plays with. And much like Alec, not like Justin. Justin's not an athlete.
Yeah,
Justin was a shooter.
Yeah.
Justin wasn't an athlete. Cade's a really, really good athlete. Like a lot of the stuff with Alec, his vertical surprising, he's sneaky fast. You know, all the white kid cliches.
He can jump.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, he can jump and he can run really good.
All
Didn't say
things
those
that
things
that
about me.
nobody. Yeah, you think every college in the country wouldn't have wanted to have Alec Pierce, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
looked at him and went, "White guy, so that can't be right. That's
No.
not a white guy number.
That's just some volleyball player.
Yeah. Get out of here. Come on.
All right, Brent, go back, get us back on track. I took us off for 20 minutes, but I'm sorry.
Hey, all I'm saying is, you keep pumping Ryan up with his drinking skills. Him and I got to go out one night, and we'll see.
Are you guys going to do Borgs?
We'll see who comes out on top. No.
The Brent and Ryan Borg night with a video
awesome.
camera.
Only if they allow us to take it into Murphy's or something like that. Slam some free hot dogs and tasty popcorn.
I miss Murph's. Haven't been there in a min.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, I guess that wraps up the basketball and miscellaneous portion of the podcast.
Oh,
but,
I got to do hold on. Quick Paper Supply, your locally and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom.
There you go.
Right on. Real quick, Chad, obviously you weren't able to make it to the last couple of spring practices.
I missed two, yes.
Yeah, Kerry Hoffman was able to be there and collect quite nice intel that you can catch on the BCJ website. Anything else that you've heard, Chad, or that you and Kerry have spoken about off the record, or Ryan? Anything that you've heard?
1 second, I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay.
1 second.
Ryan,
say again, Brent.
Did you get to read any of the practice reports or hear from any of the guys on the team how things are going through week one?
They just say they're humming along. They like the efficiency, kind of what Chad was referencing when he went there. The coaches they seem to be meshing well with the coaches. It's a different feel, but everyone seems to like it. Still they got to make up for a lot of snaps. They got to make up for just a whole new kind of philosophy they kind of try to work through. So there's some nerves with that. But I think it just takes some time to get used to find their style and how everything's going to mesh with this new staff. So it's a two-way street, and I think the players are just starting to get more comfortable. But still a lot of work to do is what they're saying.
So there's the whole spring break now. What was kind of the message from the staff for you guys when it was like, all right, guys, you're about to hit spring break.
Don't get arrested.
Don't hang out with your guys. Don't go do any stupid shit back home. And if you were going somewhere, you had to tell Coach Fickle, and we were the ones yeah, we're going to Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And he would just grill our shit. You really want to do that? And basically, he makes sure that, if people are going somewhere that, they got tabbed, they have to check in and make sure there's responsible, if there's older guys, that they're responsible to take care of guys. But it's basically yeah, you realize we're coming back, we're rolling. So take it at your own risk. Don't get hurt. Don't do anything stupid, or you're effed, basically.
How long is that revamp period? Is it literally first day back you are lighting it up, or do they give you a bit of a?
I think we come back. We do a flush day with Brady, and which is a flush lift, flush run, and then we have meetings. And the next day we pretty much, I don't know if I think we're just helmets, and then the day after that we're going hard. So
I mean, I just think that's wild. I mean, spring break.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah,
it's an animal. I mean,
yeah, we didn't take it lightly. I don't know what the guys are doing. I know some guys are doing stuff. I don't know what the team is a whole.
You didn't take what lightly? Spring break?
Yeah, we didn't fear. We didn't fear the practice is coming back. We want
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. Not that you didn't take the repercussions lightly. You didn't take spring break lightly. We only get 4 or 5 of these. Like,
Oh, yeah. We didn't even get one. We got 2 taken away. Wait,
oh yeah, COVID got
basically, 2 taken away out of the 5. So I only did something once. Was last year, but yeah, I mean, most guys like we kind of just said like, F it, let's go have a good time. But we knew coming back, like we're gonna be we got to be ready to take care of ourselves in the couple days leading up, and it's go time, and you can't let anything show out on the field, or they're gonna hound your ass like, how's Fort Lauderdale, Royer? Like shit like that. Just like the moment
Ask
you
your
look like
kid,
you're
Fickle.
yeah. The moment you act like you've been hurting because of you were out drinking or doing stupid shit, I mean they were on your ass immediately. So
You know what that reminds me of? What was it? Was it 21? The first day of Higher Ground, everybody cramped. Everybody went out because you guys didn't do the first couple days on campus like always. You went your first day at Higher Ground was the first day of camp.
yeah.
And I remember a bunch of dudes got after it before you guys went to Higher Ground, and they did not have a good first day.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have to name names, but it was a rough first day at Higher Ground. I was standing there on Satan.
The best is like the one day you come back to campus. It's just like a free for all after that scrimmage. Just like scramble mode. Like, how can we get as much of us in the same spot, drinking as much as we can, just to have one bit of fun in this hell?
And what time you guys would have to be back at 8, 9 o'clock on Sunday morning?
Like that, yeah, just hell. Some guys would rest.
Practice. You didn't have practice that next day.
Yeah, you just went back and ate and met and did meetings,
and then went back to Higher Ground.
Yeah. That bus ride was always the worst, dude. I'm telling you. Just like pulling back in, seeing the sign, getting on the gravel road. You're like, holy shit. Like this.
We're barely halfway done with this.
Yeah. Like guys would literally be on the bus, like screaming the F word, like, F this, man. Like just so pissed off. You just hear like 3 or 4 of those just ringing through the bus.
But everybody loves Higher Ground, Ryan. They have great food.
Food's good, yeah. The people who run it are great. I'm gonna miss those.
Monterey Ranch chicken sandwiches. Chuck is awesome. I love Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck and
the Monterey Ranch chicken sandwiches are elite.
They're pretty good.
I could start a restaurant just with Monterey Ranch chicken sandwiches on a croissant.
With the bacon ranch, though, you can't forget.
You got to go bacon ranch, not just the regular ranch, the bacon ranch, which is just ranch with giant chunks of bacon in it.
We're not going to act like there was some exquisite prep. They just dumped the bacon bits right in it.
Right into the ranch. Yeah, it's just a giant bowl of ranch that they just dumped a smaller bowl of bacon bits into.
Yes.
Well, Chad, anything further that you've heard outside of what Carrie's been posting?
I will say this. I was surprised what I saw skill-wise from the transfers.
Right.
D. Wiggins, Donovan Ollie,
Joey Belgian.
Yeah. Jordan Young, DJ Taylor. Like the 5 or 6 guys that they brought in to be frontline skill guys, wide receiver and corners, I liked what I saw quite a bit. And yes, it's without pads, you're playing on air, but that's the one position, and Ryan can agree or disagree. When they don't have pads on, I'm looking for the guys that the pads matter the least. And it's what happens outside. Donovan Ollie, I think that can be a really, really valuable possession wide receiver type weapon. Bigger body, really good hands, what I've seen so far. Competent. So I was impressed with some of that outside stuff. And that's what I was only there one day again. Like I said, I had to fill in for Mo. But I was really impressed what I saw from that group of transfers. And those guys were brought in Florida, Arizona State, like Washington State. Like they were brought in from high levels of college football, Power 5 levels of college football, and they look like it. They look like guys that we're going to be talking a lot about through spring football into camp, into the season. So considering how dangerously thin those rooms got during this transition, it was nice to see that at least at the top of the roster, there are going to be some answers for this group going forward. That was a huge. If I would have went in and watched those guys and all thought, "Oh God," like they didn't hit on any of these guys,
Right.
we'd be having a much different conversation going into spring break week.
Mhm.
And Carrie saw the same. Carrie wrote about a lot of those same guys that I noticed pop off the page day one. Carrie wrote about them again day 2 and day 3. And then the biggest storyline of camp is for me seeing Deshaun Pace in the nickel. That's just not like it's old school 3-4, where that one outside linebacker was kind of your nickel guy. And you don't see that anymore. Like they've cut it down. It's 3 linemen, 3 backs, 3 backers, and then 5 DBs. Deshaun Pace is a DB. If he can do it, and he looked like he could do it, that changes kind of the ceiling for this defense, I think. And he looked the part.
Just getting more playmakers on the field.
Yeah.
Well,
And it allows you to play a real 3-4 where you have, a real 3-4 defense fits this personnel because you've got Dante, Malik, and Briggs inside. If you look at those old 3-4s, the Steelers, the Patriots, like when the 3-4 really became a thing, you had a run stuffing, massive nose tackle, and 2 power ends. And then a rush linebacker, a cover linebacker, and 2 middle linebackers. And that really looks like how they looked at the beginning of camp. We'll see. I'm not going to get too over my skis, but if it's like, how great were those defenses when you were playing a real legitimate 3-4 like that? I liked it.
I mean, it's exciting to hear about Dorian Jones as well because you need obviously
he popped several
beast
times
in the middle. Yeah,
he popped several times, and I think Jack Dingle is going to be a beast in the middle. I really
He's big as hell, dude. He is so big. It's crazy.
And fast and strong. Yes. It's not just that he's big, like he moves.
Yeah. Can't wait till the pads come on. That's when the real shit starts.
They were on Thursday.
Are they going though?
Carrie said they were. I wasn't. I was on radio. So I think I've only got at this point one more spring practice, depending on Kelly. Depending on everything going on there, I should only miss one more spring practice. So I'm looking forward to seeing the progression, Ryan, of like how that looks as we go forward.
I'm gonna come check out a practice. I need to get that done, and I'll write some shit down and bring it on the show.
Oh, baby!
Come on now, we're talking now.
We're talking now. A little football.
I mean, you have the option to work 7 to 3. Like you can arrange your schedule to be there by like 3:30, which the way that things work now, practice is scheduled for 3. By 3:30, it should be period like 5.
Yeah. They
move, boy. They move.
Yeah. I could do that. I could figure that out. When's the first day back? Because I want to come the second day because that's when shit's gonna be going.
Let's see. 8, 9. The 22nd's the first day back. They go 22, 23, 24. Actually, I won't be there on the 24th because of radio. If you want to be there, if you and Aaron want to double team the 24th, that would be money.
Yeah.
No, is it a Friday? Wednesday, Thursday,
the 24th is. Yeah.
I know I can do Thursday.
Okay.
I might be able to get out of work early Fridays, depending on if I can get some extra hours in before. So we'll see.
I'll be there on the 23rd, and we can kick it. How about, what do you think of that, Ryan? Normally, you guys would start back on Monday after spring break. They're giving these guys until Wednesday
That's nice.
to get a
The
couple
guys
days
get-
in the weight
yeah.
room, reacclimate, get the toxins. Is that the right word? Toxins out of your body.
The fun juice.
The funny juice. There you go. No, so I mean, yeah. I think Wayne Gerbach asked a good
I don't
question.
know, Wayne.
here.
I don't know what a Big 12 roster looks like. Like,
Right.
we haven't
I think
we
it'd be
haven't seen it
interesting.
firsthand yet.
But-
We're gonna know after the third conference game. We'll really get a good grip on
Right.
what we
What
have.
I will say, Wayne, and Wayne asked, so at this way too early stage to tell, does the squad look like solid Big 12 roster? What I will say is those names that I mentioned look like Power 5 players. Donovan Ollie, Jordan Young, D. Wiggins, DJ Taylor. Those guys look like Power 5 players. Dorian Jones, Greziak looked like a Power 5 player. I didn't see the offensive line with pads, but Radosevic did look like a guy that he kind of looks like Jason Kelsey in college.
Huge upper body.
Yeah, he kind of has that, like, he's a little smaller in terms of his overall like weight, but he's got some Jason Kelsey look into him and the way he moves in his frame. So I think that the early returns on the guys they brought in, or at least a decent majority of them, they look like what they're supposed to look like, at least at minimum. What you don't want is these guys show up and they're small, they're skinny, they're slow. You know what I mean? Like, and that's happened. Rhino attest. Guys showing up that have like this big reputation, and they show up and you go,
nope.
that guy played where?
No.
We're not going to name any names, but they're like, that guy can't play here. I don't care where he came from. He can't play here.
I mean, look at Ivan too, just showing up like a big bowling
He's
ball.
the good exception.
And then he got to work and trimmed his body. Not everyone has that sort of work ethic to get.
By the time Ivan got on the field, it was clear.
Yeah.
Like, by the time Ivan took his first snap in practice, it was like, oh, you're not going to be able to keep him off the field. Well, we have other plans. Well, those plans don't matter because you're going to have to make different plans because this guy's going to play every snap. This guy's going to be the first unanimous All-American in program history. Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. Well, so
It's a great question, Wayne. Yeah. It's a great question, Wayne. I will just say the first returns are the higher end level of the transfers look the part. Will they play the part? I don't know yet. We haven't seen enough, but they look twitchy. They look like corners look like they get in and out of their breaks well. Receivers look like they run good routes. Look like they have an understanding of what they're supposed to be doing. That those little things look the part. We'll find out from here if they're Big 12 quality guys. We don't know yet.
And obviously we'll have more as spring ball continues. I thought Shaman is being limited, right? I think that's what the coaches were talking about in the preseason, the interviews and whatnot. So it's good to see Joey Bellinger's name get thrown out there a couple times. The Western Kentucky transfer at tight end, just continuing to see multiple guys, like you said, came over via the transfer. But more will come on spring practice as they have the spring break and then back and at it. So stay locked in here. We'll obviously bring more on the BBP and whatnot. Anything? Should we stamp this? A little quick football wrap up.
I don't have anything.
Quick paper supply timestamp. There you go.
All right. Quick Paper Supply provides mostly disposable restaurant supplies, products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins, etc. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
So this is where I always ask anything on recruiting, football or basketball. I think kind of seen some visitors
Not yet.
on campus for football. Not yet, but
A lot of
it is good.
2024.
Right.
We're getting like that. That's starting to round into form. I just haven't.
Right. Oh,
I wish I had time, but I don't.
well, it's good to see Rayvon on campus. It looks like he's been he's posted a picture in Fifth Third today. So good to see Rayvon is here and ready to continue the movement. And I tell you what, portal season is upon us. I think around lunchtime today, there were already 300 plus names that entered their name into the portal.
It's crazy.
And that number is only going to rise. It's insane with the NCAA tournament not even starting yet.
Think about, there's 68 teams in the NCAA tournament. There's 32 teams in the NIT. Yeah. So you got 90 teams that don't have anybody in the portal yet. Like, it's going to be a lot.
Mikey Saunders entered his name again from Utah. So I don't know. It's the Wild Wild West, and it's upon us. But we'll talk more about
downtown
that as it comes.
129th Street.
Do any of you see an issue with us playing in the NIT to not be already in the portal and making those connects? And instead,
no, they're still the coaches are calling. The coaches are doing their due diligence.
I just saw it brought up, I feel like, on social media.
Yeah, I mean, the coach, like,
somewhere.
Look, Cincinnati's being mentioned with guys. Like, it's not like they're sitting at home not paying attention to it. They're doing the early stages and still figuring out. Like, the hard part is, if they didn't make a postseason tournament, then those conversations would have started today. But they're playing in the NIT, so those conversations will have to wait until they're done playing in the NIT, because their intention is to win the NIT. And if you start having those conversations, you can fracture your team pretty quickly. Once the season ends, they will have those conversations, but that doesn't stop you. This is the important part for people to understand. With that said, that does not stop you from recruiting anybody you think might be a fit here. Do you know exactly how many spots and roster construction and all that stuff? No, not yet. But you do know we are going to be making additions, and we should be in contact with anybody we think could be a fit here. They're doing that. So people want to get mad about this without considering that. You have to take both of those things into consideration. You can prepare to play in a postseason tournament while still doing your due diligence and making sure that you're ready for what's next. And Cincinnati is doing both of those things. So that's how you handle it. I know people get in their feelings and they want everything to be black and white. Sometimes things are in color. And there are multiple things happening at the same time. Though I can assure you those things are happening. It's just a matter of let's see where it plays out, where it goes.
Yep. Yeah, Aaron, I know you're referring to where it's like if the season ended, it'd be all hands on deck on the recruiting front, but
it is
right. I didn't say it wasn't. So
no. I'm just saying, to answer those questions.
Yeah,
it is
right.
They're also preparing for a game,
right?
Like what happens? It's like on the Bearcat Journal team, right? So the NIT is announced. We know Brent has the scout. So then the rest of us are doing all the other stuff. You got the scout. We're working on recruiting.
Mm-hmm. I heard you guys last night try to look over all the Virginia Tech stuff. You're like, oh, this is too hard. I'm like, yeah, I mean, imagine my life. It's every single team. Yeah. But anyway, it's I mean, they recruit during the season too. I mean, Wes was at the game in Kokomo to see Flory play. He was still recruiting during preparing for big games down the stretch as well. So it'll
When
be.
does AAU basketball start, Holly? Generally early April. There will be like tune-up tournaments, and then right after the Final Four, things will really get going. And coaches have 2 weekends on the road in April, 2 weekends in June, and 1 in July, where coaches are on the road. But the AAU and high school basketball scene, AAU goes April and May, high school is June, and then AAU and these ridiculous fucking NCAA sanctioned camps in July. So we will be out and about, and when the new guy gets rolling, he will be on the road with me. So excited about all of that to get cracking, because 24, just like 23, just like why we were out on the road a ton last year, 24 is going to be critical to this staff. So a lot of good stuff coming this spring and summer on BCJ. Maybe not on Twitter, but on BCJ.
Very much so. Aaron, you ready for the mailbag, my man?
Yeah.
All right. Go and fire that sucker up.
Starting with the football portion of the mailbag. I know it's just conjecture, but do you guys agree with the projection that the Cats finish 9th in the Big 12?
I don't think it's crazy. There's 14 teams. I don't think they're going to be the worst team. I don't think they're going to be the best team. I don't have yet enough knowledge to say I think this team can be middle of the pack, which would be 7, 6, 7, 8. 9th is just below that. I don't think that's crazy in terms of where we're at right now, 3 days into spring football.
If they finish 6, 7, or 8, I think we're all going to be happy with the way that the season's transpired.
Sure. I think 9th is probably right now reasonable. We don't know what the spring transfer portal is going to bring. They do need tackles. They do need more wide receivers. You know, there are things that they need to continue to accomplish in terms of adding to the roster. 9th, I think, is probably about where I would have them if we're talking about, March 13th.
Yeah, I think they have a pretty favorable schedule in the Big 12.
Yeah, that's one thing they do have going for them.
I think 9th could be a good starting point, and I think that they should think that we are going to do everything to be better than 9th, because I think that the returning players that are there defensively that we know of, I mean, those are some high level players, and sure, are they going to how they translate in the new system will be still a question mark, but I mean, I think that the tradition of winning will kind of exude through them. I think just shoring up the offensive line and making it, and then quarterback play, I think that'll be. I think college football quarterback play is up there with as synonymous with winning as anything else. So I think it'll be interesting to see how those things trickle out, offensive line and quarterback play. But
look, Ryan knows if Jake Sopko had to be the quarterback,
we would have went to the playoff. Don't sleep on my boy.
That's what I was leading you to. Sopko is a member of this network. We're just ribbing him a little bit. No one anybody get their panties in a bunch.
Sopko's a good ass quarterback.
He was good.
Yeah.
He wasn't Desmond Ridder, but he was good.
Yeah, and I wasn't Darian Beavers.
That's fair.
All right. What do you think of Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah potentially joining the Big 12 if the Pac-12 implodes? Hearing any inside information?
No. It'd be great. When we have inside information, that usually comes from Dan Simon, and he will join us when there are things to talk about on that front. Look, if the Pac-12 falls apart, the heat right now seems to be on Arizona and Colorado as the two most susceptible to breaking away at this point. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I agree with Dave. Dave has said until there's a media deal presentation on the table, we won't know what's going to happen with the Pac-12. If they make a presentation to the schools and it's shit, or there are some schools that feel like the exposure isn't what they want it to be, then you'll start to see some cracks form. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I do think a lot of places are on high alert to see what George Kliavkoff produces. And to this point, he hasn't produced shit.
And that's the football portion of the mailbag.
Hey.
Moving on to the basketball portion here. You can only use the not sitting out transfer once, right? Bearcat adjacent example. Saunders goes from UC to Utah. He now is transferring from Utah to a third team. Potentially, he would be required to sit out a year. This may or may not also relate to a certain Georgetown player.
They hand out waivers like candy when it comes to transfer.
They don't want litigation. So if the school you're leaving gives you a runoff, basically saying you're free to go, the NCAA is not going to try to block you. Where it gets sticky is if they feel there's tampering, like if the school you're leaving feels that there's tampering and they want to get in the way for a second transfer it can get sticky. Each case is very case specific, I guess is the right way to put it. Generally, that second transfer is going to go through as long as there isn't a major sticking point.
Coaching changes obviously make it immediately accessible, but
Yeah,
which I think they referenced the Georgetown
yeah.
mention, which will be you get another free transfer because Patrick Ewing is turned out to not be the coach.
You get another free transfer because you made a terrible decision and you bankrolled a lot of zeros.
Yep.
Hopefully you get what you were promised in NIL and you bankrolled those zeros. That's all I'll say on that matter.
There you go.
All right. The Bearcats' longest winning streak all year is 4 games on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being stupefied and in an 8-hour bourbon haze.
Cool.
What would be your level of shock if you were to see the Nets being cut down in Vegas and a 26th win under the Bearcat belt?
About 8. Yeah.
Yep.
8.
Look at us,
They haven't
Chad.
been great on the road. They haven't been great on the road. Like you're gonna have to win 2 road games and then 2 neutral site games. I think they can win Wednesday, and then we'll see if they can go win 2 in a row on the road. It's not against potentially. Rutgers was the number 1 team, first team out, right? Am I wrong on that, Brent?
No, Rutgers was the second team out. Oklahoma
Team out.
State was the first.
Okay. Well, you're playing. You would potentially be playing a team that feels like they should be in the tournament as the second.
Rutgers got absolutely screwed. Like 2006 Bearcat level was screwed.
So yeah, I 8. I'll go with Royer 8. Aaron,
I will go 9.5.
Aaron hates this team on the road away from home.
I do absolutely hate this team on the road. There
Aaron
is
hates
no
this team
disputing
in
that.
general.
I don't hate this team. Like I
Aaron
thought this
hates
team-
the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Stop it. I thought this team was a really likable team as put together. I just don't see them winning 4 games not in fifth third in a row.
That's more than fair. More than fair. The good news is they won't have to play any games back-to-back days because they
didn't do well.
Shit at that. Shit. That's their 2 worst games of the year, Houston and Ohio State, by a wide margin, more so than NKU. Their 2 worst games of the year were Houston and Ohio State.
I want to say 10 just so I can be in an 8-hour bourbon haze, but
well, if you go 9.5 like Aaron, you're in like a 7-hour bourbon haze.
yeah. But no, I mean,
You go to bed an hour early with a 9.5.
I'm an optimist. I see their route to the to Las Vegas, and I see
We
myself.
all see the route.
I see myself joining them and cutting down the nets. Let's go with the. Let's go with the 6. I'm in there with 5.5. Give me a 5.5.
Oh, the man.
Hey, one can dream, right?
Let me address this real quick. Fake John Goebel says that they lack any kind of consistency, especially on offense, to make it less than an 8. Yeah, because that's the double-edged sword of a jump shooting team. How many times over the past 30 years did everybody want a 3-point shooting team? If we can just get as many 3-point shooters as you can get. Well, yeah, you still have to be able to break down a defense, and you still have to be able to do so many other things more than having a team that can shoot the 3. Because 3-point shooting, by nature, it's like baseball. We've talked about this a million times. You're successful at best 40% of the time. And hey, Brent, if I told you could gamble at a 40% clip for the rest of your life, would you stop gambling? The point of gambling is to be over 50%. You want to do things over 50% in life.
I mean, I take it back. I'd still gamble. It would just not be smart.
What'd you want to say, Aaron?
Spoken like a true gambler. I think they were finding some consistency before the Vic injury. I think that kind of just set everything off.
He gave them a different option.
And him coming back hasn't been what Vic was before the injury. So it's I think that's been where they've struggled to find that consistency. The role hasn't been what it was.
You haven't been able to throw him the ball
and consistently.
You haven't been able to throw him the ball and consistently get a bucket since he came back.
Right.
And that takes this offense down a couple notches, because even with Kalu and Odie, they've had games where they were super effective, but it was never really like throw the ball, get a bucket. It was like pick and roll, exploit a mismatch, get a guy for a dunk.
Yep. All right. Where are the rumors that Wes isn't capable of having tough conversations coming from in regards to the offseason?
They're made up. They're fabricated. They're not real. They're just people venting their frustration over potentially not getting what they think needs to happen to this roster. Wes will have the tough conversations. It's a matter of how those conversations go. We'll see. We don't know. We know he had those tough conversations last year. People might disagree with what he brought in after those tough conversations were had. But those tough conversations were had. Like, there were a couple guys that left that wanted to stay. And they were given a very clear picture of what it would look like if they returned, and they decided to go elsewhere. Those are having the tough conversations. And look, what fans don't want to enter into this conversation is you can have the tough conversation and the guy agrees. He had the tough conversation with Mike Adams-Woods. He said, we're on the lookout for a high-level Power 5 point guard or equivalent to come in here and be, the point guard. And if you want to stay, you can stay. And if you feel like that's not what you're looking for, then, we'll help in whatever way we can. And Micah said, I'm not leaving. And the other guy said, I'm looking for something else. There was no hard feelings toward Mike Saunders when he left. Mike Saunders was looking for something different than what the tough conversation entailed. So he left. Wes is going to have the tough conversation. I think people they think that tough conversation is they sit down and Wes goes, you can get the fuck out of here. And that's the whole conversation. No, it's more nuanced than that. Life is more nuanced than that. The conversation is, here's what we see for you going forward. Do you see yourself in this role? If the player says yes, where else does the conversation go? If you're honest, that's up to the player. Are they willing to buy into that role? If they are, then they'll be back. If they're not, then they'll be gone. Like that's everybody sees it as like what they want to see it, what they would say, right? Here's what I'd say if I had to have the tough conversation. Well, you're not the guy having those tough conversations, and you're not the player reacting to them. I think that's the missed part of this. The coach can have the tough conversation, and if the player says, "I'm good with that. Let's do this. Let's go win."
Chad,
Then what do you do?
We are a video game and fantasy football society.
I know.
Don't take that away from us.
You asked me the question, you're going to get the answer. I'm sorry, Aaron. I know you like to trade the entire farm system.
I just
when you start playing Major League Baseball.
I just read the question. I didn't ask the question.
I know, but am I wrong? You start Major League Baseball every year, and you trade the whole farm system.
No, I trade the guys at the top I don't like.
Oh,
yeah. Anybody over 30 must go.
Hey, that's the Bengals philosophy, and I don't hate it.
Nope. What are the top 3 priorities for the transfer portal if West goes that deep?
Scoring guard, big man. 4, 5. I think the 4 and the 5 are the most important. If it goes 3 deep, then I definitely think a scoring guard to replace or at least like cover for the loss of Dave comes into play. If there were only 2, I would go center, rim protecting, dominant center, so you can move Vic to the 4 because I think Vic is a 4 more naturally. And then you go another big guy to kind of add to that rotation so that you've got Vic, Odie, transfer big man, or freshman big man, transfer big man to operate between. I think you need 4 between those 2 positions. And then if it starts to get thin, you have Landers you could slide to the 4. Newman, if he comes back, that you can slide to the 4. You've got options, but you have to have at least 3 centers. We saw that this year. You have to have at least 3 guys that can play the 5. If Vic and Odie come back, there's 2. So you have to, Sage, we'll see. We don't know at what level Sage is going to be ready to perform against the Big 12 as a redshirt freshman. He'll be on the roster, but is he 100% capable of, hey, we're down 6 with 8 minutes to go in the first half. We're going to put Sage in and not have a bad, 4-minute segment. It's kind of where you're going to be with Sage next year. If you feel like that does change. I said the freshman big man is an option. A transfer big man, you have to include it. It's not like Flory Badunga is a fucking surprise name that we all just are finding out could be an option for 2023. We've talked about it 100 times, 1,000,000 times, if you've been on the message boards. I don't know if he's going to be 2023. I don't know if he's going to come to Cincinnati. But if we're talking about it, if we're in here on this podcast, watching Royer sway back and forth so fast his camera can't pick him up because he's still got the moves, like Flory and Samto are potential reclassifications that Cincinnati has done a lot of work on. There is a possibility that they end up here for next year. Am I
together?
No, probably not. But am I saying that's going to happen? No. Would I be an idiot if I didn't at least mention it as something that could happen? Yes, because then what would happen is if it did happen, somebody would say, well, on March 13th, 2023, Chad said there's not going to be a freshman big man potentially on this roster in 2023. And he was wrong, and he sucks, and fuck him.
All right, Chad's clearly going through some things. Moving on. Will they have a full-time or will they have a full roster minus injuries for Wednesday? Any potential portal entries or seniors with a COVID year left sitting out?
My understanding is they will be full go.
Okay.
Wednesday night. So that's my understanding.
I meant to ask this question 2 weeks ago, but what trade would you make with a prior UC Bearcats team that would make both teams better? For instance, 2018 team Keith Williams for Davenport.
Davenport would have been really interesting on that 2018 team. Like a guy that you didn't need a whole lot else, but you really could have used a guy that just heat check. Like, let me see if I can squeeze off 3 made threes in this game. That's a good one, Slim Cat. That's a good one.
I mean, does it have to be a fair trade?
Relatively fair. Relatively fair.
It just has to make both teams better.
How about if we give the 2013 SK senior year, right?
14.
How about if we give the 2014 team Jaron Cumberland, trade him for Shaq Thomas?
Well, no, it's out of the current team, right? From the current team is what it's saying?
That's how I read it, yes. You trade somebody from the current team for somebody from years prior.
Okay, I'd give that 2014 team Dave Julius or Landers Nolly, one of the two.
Yeah.
Because that team was SK, Jack, and Titus. Like, you give me Dave on that team, or you give me Landers and SK together. That would have been a lot of fun. Landers, SK, Jack, and Titus 2 through 5. That would have been and that team made it to number 7 in the country.
Yeah.
Could you trade Dave for Copain and have both teams be better?
I think you would trade Dave for Kevin.
I would never make that trade, but that's just me. He wouldn't even call
100%.
Landers Nolly by his correct name.
100%.
Didn't do it the whole season, was still screwing it up the final game.
Let's make that 2013 team better. Trade Vic for Shaq Mudge.
Okay.
Then you got SK, Cash, Jaquan.
I like Shaq Mudge a lot. I think Shaq Mudge's value was underrated.
Wow, he was 8th in the country in block percentage. Jeez.
And he rebounded the shit out of the ball too. I was a big Shaq Mudge guy. I love Shaq Mudge.
And then they played Doug McDermott.
Okay. Vic Lockham. Sweet 16 team, or the year before. Hold on. Shit. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
2011 team would be the year before the Sweet 16.
Here we go.
Kai's bias says, somehow I think Broken Leg Kenyon might help this current team trade whoever away.
How about Ibrahima Thomas for Victor Locken, 2011 Bearcats? Ibrahima Thomas had 5.7 points and 5.3 rebounds on the team that lost to Kemba Walker in the NCAA tournament.
I trade Vic for Titus Rubles.
I would not, because I would be afraid that Titus Rubles would murder me.
Well, I've not been in the arena.
Like I did.
I've not been in the arena, but I can't imagine these guys losing points and missing free throws with Titus, or losing games like ECU and NKU.
ECU.
I'm saying I don't think they would have.
Oh, you mean on this team you would take Titus Rubles?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Trade Vic, give me Titus on this team, and they don't lose those games. They don't lose those games.
I don't know that this team could have handled Titus Rubles.
he might have murdered someone. It would have been Alabama, but worse.
No, it would have been Baylor. And I love Titus, but a lot of these guys, I don't know that they could have handled. They could have handled the realness of Titus Rubles, and that is said with all of the respect. Like I've always said, that senior year team, everybody thought Sean and Jack were SK and Jack were the leaders. Titus is the one that put fear in everybody else because he wanted to win that bad. He's like, I'm here to fucking win. And if you guys aren't working as hard as me, we got a problem. But I don't disagree with you, Aaron. I just wonder what it would have been like throwing that grenade in this pond.
I wonder what it would have been like with Titus Rubles on a team where cell phones could record video. That's the basketball portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the banks. First, I want to say fuck cancer.
Well played.
First, I'm going to say fuck cancer and hope Kelly bounces back from the latest setback. Rapid fire. What is your go-to order at a sit-down Mexican restaurant?
It depends on the Mexican restaurant. If it is an option, green chili chicken enchiladas. I love Hatch green chilies. I love chicken enchiladas. If I have that option, not many do, but green chili chicken enchiladas.
I'm a chicken chimichanga guy myself.
You're muted, Roy.
Chimichangas, I said at the same time as Aaron, therefore we are Mexican brothers.
There you go.
I don't want to know what that means.
They call those hermanos.
There you go.
Mi hermanos. I'm all over the place at Mexican restaurants. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm with you though, Brett. I do bounce around.
Street tacos, chimichangas, like I don't know. It's hard to mess up a bunch of cheese.
If you go anywhere and find Hatch chili chicken enchiladas, order that and get back.
Check her out.
Like legit Hatch, New Mexico Hatch chilies. It's got to be those. The Mexican Brothers, is that a jail song?
I just saw it. I just saw this, and I don't even know what to do with it. I actually think both teams get better with that, which is the crazy thing. I also think Quadri Moore's still playing, so I don't know. Rapid fire, or we already did that. From the BCJ staff, who wins a Royal Rumble street fight, and why is it Reagan?
I'm not messing with Reagan. I mean,
I'm not hitting a girl.
If you guys want to mess with her, that's on y'all. I'm not messing with Reagan.
Nah, she's got my vote.
She's spunky. Good call, Skins. She is spunky, and I think she'd fuck Royer up.
Fluffer,
I agree.
Fluffer for a trailer park girls Pornhub video, or money shot camera operator at a senior's bukkake.
Oh man, geez.
What in the hell?
I don't know what to do with any of that.
We're not
skipping that one. I'm good.
Follow-up question with Bally saying they will not be paying the Reds going forward for their broadcast rights as they go into BK. Do you think the BCJ network should start to air the games, and how much will it take? $50?
It's going to take a lot more than that, but it's going to take more than that. I don't know if a lot more than that, but like if we can get a video feed and the four of us just sit here and watch Reds games every night, I'm down.
I'm going to be going to a lot of games this year.
There you go, baby.
10-minute walk.
So we could you could use your phone.
Yeah,
and log into the network, and you could give play. No, on the other way, it's going to be on you. And we'll just watch the game. Yeah, we'll have the MLB feed like in the middle, and then the four of us will dissect the game. I'm in. Ready, break.
Me too.
All right. Follow up to the wrestling face heel from last week. Who is your all-time favorite wrestler? What is your all-time favorite gimmick? And if you had to pick an entrance theme every time you walked into a room, what would it be? And why is Asshole by Dennis Leary Chad's? For full transparency, it's also mine. P.S. As always, thoughts are with Chad, Kelly, and the whole family in these trying times.
The Rock is my favorite wrestler of all time. Stone Cold is very close, but the stuff The Rock did where he would just go out in the center of the ring and like pull up a stool and just like entertain, 25,000 people.
Play guitar.
Yeah, play the guitar. Like it didn't like he could do chill, he could do angry, he could, know you're rolling, shut your mouth, he could do shut up, bitch, and then he could do like the honky tonk hotel. Like the versatility of The Rock was unlike anything we've ever seen. Do I think he's the biggest star in wrestling history? No, but he was always the guy I looked forward to. Like when you knew he was going to be like that night was a Rock night. You knew it was awesome. I loved it.
I'm going to sit this one out because I have never been into wrestling. Don't know anything about it.
You were never like, well, I guess you were a baby when like Stone Cold and The Rock and the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I just loved I guess to put it in a harsh way, real sports. Like I just loved always watching like anything on TV really. So I was always just enamored with that.
It transformed from the 90s into what the iteration is today.
You missed the golden era, Royer. You missed it.
I can tell because I just see the way that these guys are received. Like they're like insanely just like celebrities, just all those guys.
There's nobody that would have popped harder for DX than Ryan Royer.
For who?
Generation X. Like Suck It. Like you didn't do Suck It when you were in like grade school?
I might have, but I didn't know who I was referencing.
It was Degenerate, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and like it was like the bad boys of like wrestling at the time. The NWO with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan kind of faded. Degeneration X was the new thing, and their big thing was like, I got 2 words for you: suck it. And like it caused like there were probably 1 million kids in America that got suspended from school.
Yeah, teachers were melting down
to suck it. Timmy, are you paying attention? Suck it. Go to the principal's office. You would have been a DX guy. That's Aaron. I say that with more confidence than I've probably ever said anything in my entire life. Ryan Royer would have been a DX guy. It wouldn't have been this. Bold
statement.
It wouldn't have been this. Ryan Royer saying it would have been that.
That's good. Yeah, that's probably fair.
Theme song. I've already got my theme song. I open it every time I fill in for Mo. International Players Anthem. Love it.
All right.
All-time favorite gimmick? If I'm gonna go Rock, I guess I got to go Rock and Sock. The Rock and Mick Foley was incredibly funny, like hilarious.
It was something.
So there you go. You guys, what are your?
You got anything here?
No, I'm in Ryan's boat on this one.
You never watched wrestling either?
No,
you were old enough for the Attitude Era.
I never got into it. It just was never anything.
Brent was already dealing with a bookie when he was 13 years old. So.
That's true.
It's like all the people who watch anime nowadays. Like I can't get into that. Like, I'm not into that.
I'm not either.
Nope.
That has nothing to do with wrestling.
But like anime cult, it's like that anime like fringe is kind of like wrestling, whereas like there was
no fringe, Brian. In the late 90s, early 2000s, it was not fringe. It was as mainstream as anything you will ever find.
Okay.
Because the stars were so fucking entertaining that you had to watch every week.
Yeah.
And it's a men's soap opera, like, of course. But Rock, Triple H, Nash, Hogan, like that whole crew from like late 90s to early 2000s was worth it. Everything after that, mid. Aaron?
I will say Stone Cold is probably my favorite. I'd say my favorite gimmick was probably like the corporation versus all of the people, where they were
when
fighting
Rock first came in.
Fighting Vince McMahon, fighting Shane McMahon, fighting
Yeah.
Stephanie McMahon. It didn't matter. If you had the McMahon name, you were getting somebody's finishing move. If I had to pick an entrance theme every time I walk into a room, I think I'd go with Put On for My City. I think that'll be the one.
Royer, what's your entrance music?
Either Bodies or I'm Shipping Up to Boston. Those are the two.
Brent?
Good one. Man, I'd make it theatrical. Get some Queen. Get some sort of just something.
I'm at a point.
Everyone can sing along with in the crowd. You know.
I'm at a point, Brent. For the longest time, I believed Led Zeppelin was the greatest band in like rock band in history.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Queen. The more I dive into like really like what Queen did and how they produced their music and like the way that they like created greatness, I think now Queen is the greatest rock band in history.
There you go.
So what do you? Are you having a good time? Having a good time?
Yeah, something like
having a good time.
Just like everyone's singing it as I'm just like walking in, just like I would not be a good wrestler.
He's just a little boy. Nobody loves him.
He's just a small boy from a poor family.
Yeah, something like that.
I could see you walking down to the ring in that.
Yeah.
Or just entering a room. Forget walking to the ring. He smell like no, we're gonna let him go. I can see you walking into the room to that every time, Brent. Because everybody's gonna react.
Disagrees. But no, I think if it had to be some sort of like a hype song, you know that song like Lil Jon, like I wanna get drunk. There's a video of me in San Diego that I'm
sure there is. Are you riding the cycle?
100 person pregame that just it was amazing. It's epic, but
that's the mailbag.
Yeah, it's fun. It was fun. Well, NIT is up next.
Yeah,
that's a basketball game on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. tip off. Don't worry about what's happening an hour north. Worry about what's happening there in Fifth Third Arena. Bearcats take on the Virginia Tech Hokies in round 1 of the NIT. Stay tuned, locked into everything BCJ as football is off for spring break, but I'm sure plenty more news will break early and often. Anything else, guys, before we shut it down?
I'm gonna probably be I'll be around this week, but I need a mental reset. So I'll be around. I'll be here for BCJ. I'm sure Aaron and I'll get a nightcap or two in, but don't expect me on social media. You'll see me on the message boards. You'll see me here. I need to let my brain disconnect for a couple days. That's what it is.
That's good.
Okay.
All right. Well, a big thank you, as always, to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Big shout out as well to Quick Paper Supply time stamps that they've been doing. Quick Paper Supply, love you. But for and also a big thank you as well to Chris Arvin from VT Scoop. Feels like that was days ago, but hey, it's been another fantastic PvP for my guys, my pals. Aaron Smith, Chad Brennan, and Ryan Royer. I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic PvP presented by BearcatJournal.com.